Welcome everyone. As we come together for this session on healing hurt, transforming blame and shame through IFS, I would like to just start with a small meditation so that we can connect with our core self. So just become comfortable. Find a position that allows you to feel grounded and at ease. If you want, you can close your eyes. And let's take a moment to be present. So I invite you to just take a couple of deep breaths. Breathing in through your nose. If you want, you can breathe it out through your mouth. As you breathe in, inhale peace and compassion. And as you exhale, breathe out any tensions or burdens you might feel. Let's take a couple of breaths through your nose, breathing out through your mouth. Now shift your attention to your body. Notice where you might feel or hold any tightness or discomfort. These sensations are usually signals from parts of you that may feel vulnerable or burdened. And just approach these parts with curiosity and care. So acknowledge the presence of the sensation without judgment. Now with every breath that you send out, imagine sending a healing light to this part of these sensations. A light that softens and soothes any pain or discomfort, making room for understanding and compassion. Breathe in again, sending healing light. This process of breathing deeply and mindfully allows you to engage more authentically with your parts, recognizing that they have good intentions and they offer protection, even when they carry pain or discomfort. As we move forward today, we'll explore the theme of blame and shame with an attitude of openness and self-compassion. This journey is about strengthening our connection to ourself, enabling us to lead with our internal family, which is the family within our parts, with courage and love. Let's keep our hearts open, minds open, as we proceed, engage with the transformation using IFS. Thank you for your presence and your willingness to go deep into your parts for a betterment of your life. So today we will go into healing the hurt. Now this came from the last few sessions we have done, starting actually from addiction, but in the Q&A, blame and shame is something that happens a lot. And I thought it would be nice to get an understanding of what is this shame and blame, where does it come from, its origin as an emotion, and then start to get into part language, where what does shame hold, what does blame hold, and also get into how to approach healing of shame and blame. Once we understand a bit, then we'll get into an IFS session where I will use, like I did with the addiction story, where I will bring both of them, shame and blame, and see how you engage with each of them, how your system engages with them, and what comes out for you. And then we'll get into sound, and afterward, at the end of the hour, we'll come back for any Q&A, where if you have anything that comes up for you that you'd like to ask questions, clarifications from your past work, we'll be here for some time, as long as you need it. Okay, so let's switch into the bit of understanding. So now blame involves assigning responsibility to oneself or others for situations that caused pain. For example, consider someone who is experiencing a breakup and blames their partner for being non-communicative enough, feeling that this lack of communication was the sole cause of their emotional pain. So the blame goes to the partner because they have emotional pain. Now, shame goes deeper. It is actually inflicting a sense of personal inadequacy that stems from hurtful events. An instance of shame might be felt by someone who is publicly criticized at work, for example. Beyond just feeling embarrassed by criticism, they might internalize it as a reflection of their own core worth, feeling inherently incapable or even unworthy. Now, where does these emotions come from? So blame and shame often develop from our response to negative interaction or challenging situations where we feel deep hurt or we have been let down. Now, these emotions are reinforced over time by similar experiences. So they start much early in life, and then similar experiences as we live life, they get reinforced. And then they result in shaping our reactions, because blame and shame is a reaction to what has been done before, which is a hurt. Now, take an example of blame. After a family argument, a person might blame their sibling for starting the conflict, believing that their sibling always instigates the problems, which adds to a long-standing hurt within the family. Now, shame, someone who grew up, for example, in a financially unstable household might feel shame when discussing money or feeling inadequate when they are unable to afford things that others easy for others. And the shame is tied to a deeper sense of hurt from a childhood experience of feeling different or less than other or not worthy. Now, resolving blame and shame is healing hurt. Now, healing involves in recognizing that blame and shame are not merely emotions, but are responses to deeper hurt. And by addressing those underlying hurts, we aim to reduce the intensity of blame and shame and transform those feelings into deeper understanding of what happened in the past. In some cases, forgiveness, both for ourselves and others. And this process helps to alleviate personal suffering and then can create more compassion and interaction with others. So how we interact with others may become different once the hurt is resolved. Now, from an IFS perspective, healing from blame and shame involves recognizing that these emotions are not an inherent part of who we are, but a response from hurt parts within us. And by identifying and addressing these parts, we engage in a process of healing the hurt they carry. So as we resolve the feeling of blame and shame, we are not only elevating our own hurt, but also may improve our interaction with others. So by exploring blame and shame through lens of personal hurt, this session actually aims to facilitate a deeper understanding and healing of these powerful emotions. So as we proceed, we will look to ways to engage more constructively with these two feelings or these two emotions so that you can shift towards more recovery and peace. Now, the role of parts in shame and blame is important because we are looking at it from a perspective or lens of IFS. Now, in IFS, we conceptualize the psyche as being made up of various parts, and each of them have its own perspective, its own feeling, its own memories, and its own beliefs. Now, these parts often carry burdens of extreme beliefs that come from past experiences, occasionally from traumas. So, for example, a part might emerge during childhood as a result of a constant criticism, taking on a belief that one must always be perfect. Now, this part could lead to feeling of shame when perfection is not achieved, or blame others for causing imperfection. Shame is a more complex emotion that often is linked to parts within us that carry deep-seated beliefs about not being good enough or not deserving enough. Now, these parts of us that hold these emotional wounds, typically from past negative experiences, which can shape our self-image and our interaction with the world. For example, in an adult who hesitates to voice their opinion in meetings, this might stem from a part that holds shame developed in childhood after repeatedly being told that their ideas are silly. Now, this part often carries the message that they are not smart enough to contribute, influencing their behavior in adulthood and hence creating shame for themselves. Now, understand blame. Now, blame is a protective mechanism used by certain parts of us to deflect pain and vulnerability by attributing responsibility to external factors or other people. These parts try to safeguard us from facing our own emotional pain or accepting parts of ourselves we are not ready to confront. So a lot of blame is a deflection mechanism. Think of someone who frequently blames a partner for their shared financial difficulties, despite their own spending habits. This person might have a part that is using blame as a shield to avoid vulnerability of acknowledging their role in the problem and associate feeling of guilt or inadequacy. I do this often. I blame myself for my inadequacy when I can't help someone. This happened this week with a best friend of mine who I could not help and actually blamed myself. And while I was preparing and working on this session, I realized that this was about my own trauma of failure to protect myself as a kid. And that's why I use blame myself as a way of not going into deeper into the pain. So what we'll do is unpack our internal parts and see how they are shaping the feelings of shame and blame. And by identifying these parts and understanding their origins, understanding their beliefs, we begin the process of healing and unburdening them from their negative beliefs, thus reducing the intensity of shame and blame. And this understanding is crucial to open doors for self-compassion and healthier interpersonal relationship. So how are we going to approach it today? So what we'll do is we'll of course use IFS, and we will start by working with the blaming part. So that'll be first one that we'll address. And this part often arises to protect us from feeling vulnerable or exposed by redirecting discomfort externally. So we feel discomfort, so it's a deflection mechanism. So the goal is to help you recognize this part, understand its intention, and begin to transform its role within your own internal system. So you might recognize a blaming part that activates when you feel criticized at work or by someone, and then perhaps blaming others, your family member or colleague. And by engaging with this part, we'll explore the protective nature and help it to express its concern without casting blame. After addressing the blaming part, we will then shift focus to the shaming part. Now, this part typically holds deep-seated belief of unworthiness and inadequacy, often resulting from past experience, as we said. So it can be more hidden and may require more gentle exploration to bring into conversation. So a shaming part might be triggered by personal setbacks, whispering that you are not good enough or that you always fail. So in our session, we will work to soften the harsh voices of this part and offering it more compassion and understand to alleviate its burdens. And of course, we will create a safe space to do that together. Now, once these parts are identified and understood, the therapeutic goal is to help them release their burdens that they carry, such as any extreme beliefs or painful emotions, could be past traumas. And what we will do is in the session, we will bring them forward, bring them to your awareness, and then we will have you identify them, even name them, and then suggest that we can go back through a trauma release session afterwards to help with any underlying trauma if it exists to the identified part. So the first aspect that we'll go through today is to be able to recognize, to bring it to awareness, name them, right? Have them express what they hold, the beliefs they hold, when did they start, and then later on, you can then go on to work with them to go more deeper into healing traumas if they hold one. Okay, so let's start to prepare. Time to be ready. So I sent before, but just to give you those two questions. So think about, and you can make a list. And like we said, what you do is you take one example of blame, one example of shame for the session today, but you can make a list and you can always go back to the list and rerun from the recording. That's how it works. So take a moment to reflect on a time when you felt you were blaming yourself or others, and then think about an instance where you experienced feeling of shame. And you can make a list. But while you're making a list, select one each that you would like to work today. And don't worry if you are here new and you don't have background of IFS or you don't understand part language. It will be very simple. I will guide you. I will take you through the journey. Okay, so see if you have identified the two you are going to work with. And just find a comfortable spot for yourself. You can have your paper and pencil close by, if you would like to jot down during the exercise, or you can do later, as you would like. Now begin by centering yourself with your breath. So take an inhale slowly, deeply through your nose, and then exhale gently through your mouth. Breathe in and breathe out. And as you breathe out, see if you can release any stress or tension that you may be holding. Now let's take a moment to establish your safe space. Now visualize a place, or can be person, or can be memory, that brings you sense of serenity, protection, safety. It can be a place, it can be a person, or a memory that brings you serenity, protection, and safety. This safe space is your sanctuary. It's providing you comfort and stability, and you can bring it in whenever you need it during the session. Now, with your safe space clearly defined or envisioned, can you just focus on the behavior linked to blaming, on that situation? See yourself being in that situation. As you do that, notice any physical sensations that you may feel in your body, or you may have images linked with that. Or notice any discomfort, tightness, or any other body response in your body or around your body. Now focus on this area. If it's an image, you can focus in the image, or you can focus on the body which feels, on part of your body which feels the tightness or brings a response. Now notice how you feel as you think about connecting to this part of your body, or you look at the image. See if you can become curious. Think, what if I can get to know more about this? There's a part of me that feels this way, which is associated with the blaming, and I want to understand a little bit more about it. So become curious. If you somehow hear voices that appear judgmental, you can ask those voices to just step back into a waiting room. Promise them that you will be back within the session if they can just step back and make space for you to connect to this part associated with blaming. Keep an attitude of curiosity and, if possible, some compassion as you explore more. So now connect back to that physical sensation or the image. Being curious, ask a question. What is your intention for me? What do you want for me? And notice what you hear. Just pay attention to what you hear from this part of body or from that image. And see if you can acknowledge what you hear. Now ask another question, saying, what is the impact that you are creating in my life or the world around me? What impact are you creating in my life or the world around me? And see what you hear. Remember to stay curious. From what you hear, if it makes sense to you, just acknowledge. Say, I understand what you say. And ask a follow-up question. What are you afraid would happen to me? What are your fears? What are you trying to protect me from? And notice what you hear. Does it make sense what you hear? You can ask another question saying, what are you really afraid would happen to me? What is your biggest fear for me? And see what you hear. And acknowledge what you hear. And now ask another question. When did it all start? How old was I when you took on this habit? So you're asking to this part, saying, how old were you when you took on this habit. So it'll tell you an age, a number, or an indication. Ask a follow-up question. You're asking to the part of you which holds the blaming part, that you felt it in your body or you had an image. Ask a follow-up question. What belief did this younger self create? What belief did the younger self create? So it told you when it all started, how old were you, and it kind of told you the belief that this little one took on, and see if it makes sense to you. If it does, just acknowledge to this part. Just acknowledge. I understand. I feel compassion for you. I understand your intention. I understand what is your fear. I understand when you started doing it. I understand. What are you afraid would happen to me? Now ask it, I say, what needs to happen for you to be relaxed or be less present? So you're asking to this part. What needs to happen for you to be relaxed or be less present? I'll indicate to you some actions for you. And see if you can acknowledge that. And as you're talking to this part, ask it, by what name do you want to be identified? So it'll tell you its name. Don't judge the name, it can be any name, but it'll give you a name. So just take note of that name. And just offer gratitude for being here, for creating this dialogue with you, and that you are going to continue working with it later on. And ask it if it's okay for it to step back. And see if you can now bring into your awareness the behavior of the instant that evoke shame. What you chose. Now, direct your awareness to any physical sensations or images that may appear linked to that situation or behavior. Or you may feel discomfort in your body. And just breathe into this area wherever you feel discomfort or tightness. Or if you see an image, just breathe into the image. And if possible, try to be curious and compassionate toward this area, this physical part in your body or that image. Just be curious. And ask to this part, or if it's an image, if it would like to come in front of you. So just be in front of you so you can have a conversation with it. So see if you can bring it in front of you in curiosity, in compassion, to have a conversation with this part of you that holds something to do with shame. Breathe into this area. And if it doesn't want to be in front of you, it's okay. Let it be in your body or in the image. But it will be good if it can be in front of you, if it wants to be. And ask it, what is your intention for me? What do you want for me? And notice what it says. Hear it with compassion or curiosity. What do you want for me? What is your intention for me? See if you can acknowledge it and ask it, what are you afraid would happen? What is your biggest fear for me? See if you can acknowledge that you understand what it is protecting you from. And ask a question. Since when are you doing this? How old was I when you started doing it? What happened then? And ask, what belief did that little one, the younger self, create from that experience then? What belief is the little one carrying from that experience? And see if you can acknowledge that. And now ask a question, what needs to happen for this part to relax or be less present in your life? So I'll tell you an action. And see if you can acknowledge that. And now ask, since I am now talking to you, would you be okay to tell me your name? How should I call you? And see what it tells you as a name by which you can refer to this part. Any name is good. Thank this part. And thank the two parts that came in today. Acknowledge their roles and see if you can affirm your commitment to continue with healing dialogue and to take further to help them heal any traumas of the childhood in later days following this. Just give your commitment that you will continue to work and engage with them. And take a moment to share with all parts of you that have come in together today, but they have come before, a vision for yourself. What do you want for you? Take a moment to thank all the parts that came in, the one that you put into waiting room, the one that you worked before, and the one who came today. Let them know that you are grateful for their presence, for showing up, for the roles they play, and that you are going to continue with your healing journey moving forward. take a moment to settle in as we prepare for the sound healing. Okay, so we are going to start with sound healing. So if you're coming first time, so I'll just be very quick in this. So basically what we do using tuning forks, we find any distortions in your biofield that you see around, and we go into the biofield depending on which centers will get activated. And whenever we find distortion, we use tuning forks to basically clear it up. Now your role in this is to be comfortable. You can lie, you can sit, and just take a moment to be into your positive state, what you want for you, just vision that you just shared with your parts. And when we go into the finding distortions, I will basically be telling you, you are 3 years old, 6 months in the mother's womb, so all ages, etc. Mother side, father side, whichever story will come, and I will always come to you with this information. See if it reminds you of something that happened, or even reminds you of what your part just showed you. And if it does, then stay there, go into that place, and we'll use tuning fork to release them. Okay, and now, so the only other thing you can do is with me, breathing. So breathing is a little bit specific with sound healing. So you breathe in through your nose, deep breath, and then you breathe out through your mouth, which is a very forceful breath. And the idea is because you are going to be attached to a certain emotion and certain event, so we have to help you release it. So we use breath as a way to help while we are using the sound as well. Okay, so that's what you do. In case it becomes very intense, or I feel it's intense, I will also ask you something like, and you do, okay, it helps to release. Okay, here we go. So I'm going to start below your feet, open the center. So we basically open the channel, which is through the backbone going to the top. And then we go from the top to open the channel into the field. So we open the torus. And then I will run a pendulum onto different centers, depending on what is relevant for today. You are here, others who are going to come out to here. The field will tell me which chakra, if you know chakra, we are going to work with. So I will tell you which chakra we are associating, what is the underlying emotion, story there, and then we'll start from the time of your conception, then in mother's womb, birth, and then up to present moment, and wherever we'll find distortion, we'll do. We have about 10 minutes, so we'll take, probably will be quick. Here we go. So just settle in. I'm going to stop the video. You're going to only hear me now. So we are going to start below the feet. So I am about 1 foot below your feet, 1 foot below your feet, and I'm pointing to your backbone and opening the channel through your feet to the top of your head. So it's getting stuck in the head, so just breathe into your head. Okay, I'm going to ground you. Take a breath. So we are going to go to the top of the head and open the channel from the top of the head. So now it's flowing from the top of the head into your feet. Okay, I'm going to now run the pendulum from below the feet. I actually start from the feet up and stay connected to your affirmation, what you want. So I'm passing the knees, I'm at the root. There's no sacral, no. Solar plexus, no. Heart, no. Okay, it's back to throat. Left side. Mother side. Okay, so we are back to throat. Throat, left side. So this is what it says is, so throat is about expression and talks about things that were unexpressed, emotions, creativity, or truth. So that's what you're going to work on. So we're going to start from your time of conception and then go forward and see what comes out. Okay. So here we go. So before birth now. I'm changing the tuning fork. So for those of you who are coming first time, you'll hear a different tuning fork. So it's now 144 hertz. Here we go. So time of conception. Yeah, always in the head. Yeah, father figure. There's sadness about it. So just see if you can breathe into that or think about that, if that makes sense to you. And just take a breath. So there's like a higher authority or figure. Can be father, but can be head of family, can be also some spiritual connection, which is telling you something that makes you sad. So just see if you can bring it into your heart and then release. Okay, moved. Yeah. Now it's moved into heart heaviness. Now you're 3 months into pregnancy. So it could also be sadness of the mother. Nothing to do with you. It's external events. So see if you can tell the little 3 months in little baby that it's going on outside of you. It's nothing to do with you. And any message of love from your side. There's a little one in the womb, 3 months old. Okay, she feels better. Just before birth, 1 month before birth. Now it's gone into fear. It's gone into the into the second center. Acknowledge the little one's fear is not his or her fear, it comes from outside. It's a mother, or can be parents. Let it know that you're going to be fine. Be a little bit more convincing and compassionate in your telling the little one. Yep, better. So birth. Normally birth, there are too many people involved. There's a hospital, nurses, doctors, there's a chaos for the little one. So just send love to the little one and the mother. Breathe. Good. It says jump to, it says 18-year-old. Something going on there. A lot of fear, anxiety. Second center, which is around navel. Could also be encounter with the opposite sex. That is bringing too much anxiety. Unable to express. And suddenly sadness comes in. So see if you can. It takes to 24-year-old. Still in the chest. So can be loss, can be others. More strongly. It says 35-year-old. Cannot speak the truth. Yeah, now she did. Okay, so take me into the mother zone. So this is all the thing that the mother went through that you are carrying as a burden for you. So just connect to your mother, whatever message you have to give to her, knowing that she also went through difficult time in a younger age. Just acknowledge her, that's all. Okay, so I'm bringing all of this onto the throat center. And we are going to clear it up. Take a breath. Okay, so we are going to now close whatever has happened so it continues to work in your system for next 48 hours. Take a breath. And surround you in a cocoon of 528 hertz. As we conclude our session, let's settle into more reflective way by which we can understand and commit to our path moving forward. Take a couple of breaths, and with every exhale, let go any remaining traces of blame or shame, acknowledging that the parts that carry blame or shame, you observe them, and you'll continue to work with them moving forward. You have created some clarity, and you've created a narrative and communication with them. Just honor them and acknowledge the challenging roles of blame and shame they have held. Appreciate their intentions and also the protection they have served in your life. Thank them for their strength and for beginning this transformative process, being available, and reaffirm your commitment to continue working as you move forward. With a final breath, feel empowered by today's work. And when you feel ready, you can gently open your eyes, return back to this place. Thank you for your courage and willingness to explore. And we'll transition into the next part.